Greetings, citizens. Today I'll introduce a mighty weapon, the Smith Wesson Model 1. Gone are the days of black powder, balls, and percussion caps. This menacing revolver is single action and holds 7 rounds of 22 short rimfire cartridges, ideal for vanquishing rebels scum. The Model 1 is the forebear of the modern revolver and tips up, like so, for easy loading on the field of battle. Even the most incompetent minions can operate this magnificent work of art. Cock back the hammer to expose the trigger. Here, the hammer will build energy by pressing the mainspring via the stirrup. Here. This will allow you to fire your weapon as you please. Just pull the trigger. The power of the dark side compels you. Now, I'll let our masters of arms divulge the Model 1's deepest secrets.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the South Carolina Military Museum Weapons Corner. Today we're featuring a very interesting pistol. It's the Smith Wesson Model 2. Adopted in June of 1861, the Model 2 incorporated several features that made this a very interesting and a very popular gun for the period. It was known as a tip-up revolver, which required the barrel to be released and tipped up, and then the cylinder was taken off of the cylinder pin. And as you can see, one of the things that makes it interesting is the cylinder is bored all the way through. The standard revolver of the period was a muzzle-loading black powder design that required each cylinder to be loaded with powder with a cap on the rear of the cylinder. A man by the name of Roland White patented a bored-through cylinder. Smith & Wesson took that patent and adapted it to a .32 caliber rimfire self-contained metallic cartridge. The cylinder held 6 cartridges, and once they were loaded, it was placed back on the gun. The barrel was lowered and locked into place, making it ready to fire. It was a single action pistol, which meant that at the time you had to cock the hammer before you fired each round, and also it had a exposed spur trigger. At the end of your firing, in order to unload the pistol, again you had to raise the barrel, take the cylinder out of the pistol, and on the barrel on the underside was a lever that allowed you to take and push the expended shell casings out one at a time. When you were finished doing that, you reloaded it with 6 more rounds, put the cylinder back into the pistol, lowered the hammer, and you were ready to go again. These were very popular during the Civil War, and they were never adopted, but it was so popular that troops would buy these things with their own money and carry them. The demand was so large that by 1862, Smith & Wesson closed their order books because they couldn't keep up with demand. They stayed in production until about the early 1870s, when the design was ceased manufacturing. There was over 70,000 of these made, and they stayed in service in the civilian community well into the latter part of the 19th century. A very popular gun, the Smith & Wesson Model 2. Thanks for watching.
I'm Susan Howard, and I am proud to present another treasure of the NRA National Firearms Museum. It's a prized gun, formerly owned by another national treasure, the Little Sure Shot of the Wild West, none other than Annie Oakley. Take a look at this impressive factory engraved gold and silver wash Smith & Wesson No. 1, a 3rd issue 7-shot revolver.
These revolvers were made from 1868 to 1881, and this one was made in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1881. They are 22 short rimfire caliber with a 7-shot fluted cylinder. The grips were made with rosewood and had a bird's head shape. The barrels are round ribbed, and the extraction of the cartridges is achieved by removing the cylinder and using the rammer pin to clear out the empty cartridges.
And while it's enough that the most famous member of Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show owned the Smith & Wesson, there is even more to this story. It's believed that Annie Oakley gave this very revolver to the museum donor's father, Bernard Boulawa. Oakley had noticed Boulawa's disappointment at not receiving a prize during a shooting event, even though he had scored remarkably well. I'd say he got a nice consolation prize. Mr. Boulawa was not only a noted marksman, winning many competitions, he was also an NRA Life member. It's another of the remarkable stories you'll find on display every day at the National Firearms Museum.